What's up, everybody? Paul here, Left Coast Model Car Builds. We're back with our basic builder series on the 37 Ford by Revell. I'm going to go ahead and sort through our parts. We got what we primered. We have some of the other bare parts here. Went ahead and glued together the rear end, get a jump start on that. Start cleaning up the gas tank. So let me go ahead and sort this out, and we're going to be right back. All right, guys, so picking up where we left off. Looking at the engine, which we've got about as far as I want to take it right now. All in all, looking pretty good. So what we're going to do is jump over to this area. Now we've primered our frame, and we can either do it black or the color of the truck. Going with semi-street custom, we might go ahead and do it the color. I got 2 cans of the pearl green, so I think we might go ahead and do that. So I think what I'm going to do now is look at painting the frame. We got our rear end and drivetrain. We'll probably go ahead and shoot black. We'll go ahead and get some aluminum or silver sprayed on the gas tank. Maybe clean up some of these parts. We'll look at the front end, see what we can paint there. That way we come back and start assembling the frame and try to get this on some rolling wheels. Our steel wheels, I'm debating on whether we want to do them red or the color of the pickup. I like the color of the car, but the one thing is when you have a truck like this and you've got the front fenders, rear fenders, you're not offset them in a different color. Sometimes it's nice to have something to break that up. So I think we're going to go ahead and shoot those in a Tamiya red that I have back here. And again, all this stuff you'll be able to get from Mark over at Hobbynut Models, all these Tamiya paints. Work out really good if you do not have access to the airbrush, a touch-up gun. Nothing wrong at all with this Tamiya paints. So give me a second here and we're going to start painting a few things. All right, guys, so this is where that extra little bit of time of looking at your parts before spraying can be very important. So I was already getting my alligator clips, thinking, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and spray these parts and then I'll nudge them off and we'll touch it up. I don't know if you can see there the amount of flash that's on the edges of this. Now, it's not horrible. You can see it right up in here. I mean, it's not horrible, but I want those to look nice and round, or fairly round. I don't want to see that flash, because if you're saying right now, I barely see that, when it's painted, you're really going to see it. So that's where just taking the extra, 5-10 minutes with a little bit of paper or a file, cleaning that up, make a world of difference. Same with some of our front end pieces here. So what I'm going to do, and again, it's always nice when you can paint a piece on a tree and think about just the connecting parts that you're going to have to touch up. But when it gets a little beyond that, sometimes it's a better bet to take the time, clean it up, paint one side, let it really sit and cure, and then come back and paint the other side. And believe me, you'll have a better product at the end of the day. Even though these Tamiya sprays we're using, I've got the bottles just for that reason, doing the touch-up. But again, you'll be happy taking the time and cleaning these parts up at the end of the day. And definitely, what I like to do, the parts I'm going to be spraying, because I try to spray as much as I can compared to brush painting. But it is always good to have the colors that you're using to spray with in the jars for touching up. And again, all this stuff you can get over there at hobbynutmodels.com. All your Tamiya paints, your bottles, your sprays. So definitely hit the link in the description. Let him know Paul sent you over from Left Coast, and he'll take care of you. So I'm just going to run a file, just knock this edge down. And it really is, guys, that simple. Just hitting that edge, taking that flash off. Those are the little things that, as you progress in your modeling, you will notice when you're comparing, you know, models that you got sitting on your shelves, and you're like, man, this one looks cleaner for some reason. And when you go back and think, well, I took the time to clean up these seam lines, these mold lines, all this stuff, I mean, it makes a difference. You know, and it's not a ton of time. But this is the stuff, if you intend on getting into building, you know, more detailed models, stuff you're going to take to a contest, all this stuff is going to play into an account. All your prep work and everything else, mold lines, seam lines. Yeah, see, there's a lot of little mold that we're going to, little flash we're going to hit right there. And again, you know, if you're building this kit at home, you know, that's your model. You do it how you like. I'm just showing you the way, you know, I prefer to do it. And I was the complete opposite when I was first getting into building, or even just a younger builder, and didn't have the patience for this stuff. And I look back now at some of those builds or projects I've still got lingering around, and it's like, man, what was I doing? You know? Like I say, it all makes difference in the end product. All right, so a little bit of time, and we're getting stuff nice and clean here. See, that's all it takes. Just hitting those edges, knocking off that flash. And believe me, world of difference. Now I'm thinking our firewall, we might go ahead and do pearl white. That's something you see with some of the old hot rods. So I think we might do that, just again to offset the color. This piece, if I can clean it up here, I'm gonna spray it here rather than trying to mount this. But you have to be careful when you're cleaning these, because they will snap. So you really, again, not a lot of pressure, just let the file or paper do the work. And I'll probably clean off. What we'll do is I'll cut this off. We'll hit that edge. just like that. That's got a pretty good attachment, so I'm gonna cut this one off. That way, you know, I try, if I'm gonna paint stuff and leave it on the sprue, I try to remove as much as I can if it's got 3 or 4 connecting points and just leave one, because that's less touch up and it'll let the spray can lay down more even. All right, guys, so I'm gonna get this stuff set up to spray and we'll be right back. Give me a second, all right? All right, everybody, what's up? So we're gonna go ahead and shoot down some TS45, which is the white pearl. We're gonna go do the firewall here. And again, first coat, nice and light, just for coverage. We're gonna let that kick off while I grab some of the other parts that we're gonna do. Give me a second. All right, so our next round of parts, we're gonna go ahead and shoot with TS29, which is, to me, a semi-gloss black. I've got 2 cans out here, both are partially about halfway or more empty, so we'll probably get through those. We're gonna start with the frame. Rather than using the clips, I'm just gonna tag it down, spray one side, let it dry good, flip it, spray the other. And again, your first coat, you're just gonna mist some on. We're gonna let that sit for a little while. Same thing with a couple of our other parts here. We're just gonna mist it. And we're just gonna let that sit for a little bit, probably about 10-15 minutes. And we got one other piece, one we're cleaning that's still clipped. That's it. So I'm gonna let those go ahead and sit for about 15 minutes and we'll be back for another coat. All right, everybody, a couple other little pieces we were cleaning up earlier, steering column, gas tank. We're gonna go ahead and shoot these with some silver really quick. All right, let those sit with the other parts and we'll be back for round 2 here. All right, guys, we're back. We're gonna go ahead and start with round 2, or coat 2. We're starting with the white pearl. So for me doing this here, you know, it's gonna look nice. It's gonna offset the color of the truck. The downside is when you're doing these the color of the car, you can fit them, get everything set, glue it in normally, and paint it with the body. In this case, you probably do like me, test fit everything, and by the time you get your color down, color in the body, you glue it in, hopefully it all sets right. So we're gonna cross our fingers, hope it all comes together later as we've got tested. And again, this here that we're shooting is, to me, is pearl white, which will be on part of the interior. I don't know if it'll just be the seat or the door panels and everything. A little bit of pearl in there. Good look. It'll make the truck kind of give it a nice little offset. Give me a second here. Be right back. I'm going to go put this part away and we'll start on the black. All right, everybody, here we are. We're gonna do our pieces, suspension parts in black, get the second coat on. And again, even though we're on our second coat, we're still not gonna bury it with paint. You know, if it takes a third coat, it takes a third, and that's fine. So here's our other pieces. Just looking sure we're getting everything we need to on this side. Then we're gonna let all that sit and dry good overnight, come back in a day or two, flip them, and do the other sides. I think for the black, on this side, that's pretty good for those parts. Here we go with our frame. Just nice even passes. If something's not completely covered, yeah, you can go back and get it next time. You don't have to go laying too much extra paint down, take a chance and run in it or anything like that. All right, so we might be good with our second coat. So we're gonna let those sit and dry, and I'll check on them here in a few and let you know if we're gonna need a third coat if we're good. All right, everybody, so we're kind of at a part or a point where we're gonna have to let these pieces dry, flip them, paint the other sides before we really get back to building. And I don't quite want to start on the interior parts yet, because that's going to take a little bit of time, I think, depending on whether we just shoot it pearl white inside or try to do the seat pearl white and then tape it off and do the door jambs, or not door jambs, but the inside of the doors and everything another color, or the body color per se. But I think what we'll do is go ahead and spray the wheel backs black, and we're gonna go ahead and do the wheels red. So what we're gonna do is use the same TS29 Tamiya black for the backs, and we're gonna use TS8, which is an Italian red, for the wheels. I think that's gonna be a good offset with the pearl green on the body. So let's go ahead and do some spraying on those real quick. See if we can get through the rest of this can of black here. And same thing, just gonna hit them, let them sit for a few. Actually, I'll stick them right there on the box I've got. And then what I've done is trimmed off the rest of the stem and cleaned up this end of the wheel. So we'll just have to touch in the bottom when we're done. And again, that's TS8 Italian red. All right. First coat, we're gonna let it sit, come back and do a second coat and see what we got after that. All right, guys, we'll be back in a few. All right, we're back, coat number 2 on our wheel backs. See if we can make it before this can runs out. Might even have a little to spare. So we got the backs. That's going to be plenty of black on those. Now we're going to shoot our TS8 Italian red, and again, all these Tamiya paints you can pick up from Mark over at Hobbynut Models. Check them out. Good selection of stuff along with your kits, tools, all your other hobby needs. I will say I use more of the touch-up gun and now the airbrush, but the Tamiya paints, for being out of a can, sure do lay out a lot nicer than a lot of the other stuff I'd sprayed in the past. So I'm gonna let this sit, and I think I'm gonna give it a third coat. I like as the red is setting each coat, it's getting a hair darker, and we want to make sure we get everything inside there so it gets a really nice red to it. All right, guys, we had about 10-15 minutes tack time here. So we're going to shoot hopefully last coat on this. I did go ahead and shoot one more coat of white pearl on the firewall, and I'll show you how all that's looking in a second. Let's go ahead and get this last coat of Tamiya red on these wheels. Again, you just want to make sure you get all your sides covered, and then everything inside, make sure it's good and covered. And again, these will be the steel wheels we'll use along with the kit provided tires and white walls. So I'm gonna go ahead and go set this up. I'll show you what we got, and we'll probably wrap up. This will be a quicker part 3, as we really got to let everything dry really good before we start getting back to the building side. All right, everybody, so here's kind of what we got. See the gas tank back there, the pearl white firewall. We got Italian red wheels. We got the backings and semi-gloss, along with a few suspension parts. Got top side of the frame. There's our engine that we did sitting there. We've got some of our other parts sitting here in primer. So all in all, I think we're looking pretty good so far. We're gonna let this stuff sit and cure for a day or two. Then we're gonna flip the frame, shoot the other side, and get back to building. So fun part is, as you're prepping this stuff, this is kind of where the patience comes in. Prepping, letting things sit, get both sides covered really good. But then once all that's done, you get down to building, all these parts are prepped, painted, ready to go, you know, then you really see everything come together. So that's kind of how this is going to go. Again, we're using these Tamiya paints over here, which you can pick up over there. Check out Mark Hobbynut Models. We got a link in the description. I'll let them know you're coming from left coast over here. And otherwise, guys, hope you had a good weekend. I'm gonna put this stuff away, get to work on a couple of other builds before I gotta call it wraps for the night and get ready for the work week. So hope everybody's had a good weekend. Happy building, and we will see you guys later.